Alright everyone, this is how to get the passenger side header in on a 94, well, I guess you could say 93 to 90, what is it, 7 Lt1 Camaro, Firebird, Trans Am, SS, whatever, Z28 you want to call it. But I have some little bit larger than average headers. I can't remember the tube size, but it definitely did not want to fit over here on the driver's side, which there's no light now, but they're a little bit larger. There's some eBay ones, but it's fairly simple. Like, I was going to take the starter off and everything and try to finagle this fucking header in there, which I've done that before, and it doesn't go in too easy. But literally, like, I've read other people saying just undo the motor mount, which you can't see right now. I wonder if I can get some light here. Okay. You can't really see it anymore. But the motor mount's right there. There's 2 bolts there and 1 on the bottom. They are 13 millimeter, or I had a ratchet wrench, and that's a half. So, which came in handy for me. But yeah, literally, I just put a fucking block of wood on my jack, jacked it up right at the pan there, if you can see it, and it kind of is trying to push in a tiny bit, but I think, from what I can tell, it's an old ass, you know, like a 20-year-old fucking oil pan that I'm sure is rusty. This little block of wood, jacked her up, gave me more than enough room to just drop this header in. So it was very simple. I probably could just pull it right out to show you. Maybe. I kind of had to jam it in there a little bit, but it went in pretty easy. I'm not going to take it back out because I put it in, and I got one hand anyways, but there's more than enough room to get it in there. If you just undo those 3 bolts, it's a lot simpler than taking the starter off, then losing your shims out of the starter if you have some shims, which there's all sorts of people put all sorts of different types of shims in there for the starter. But the factory ones can be in there, and you don't want to lose those. But it's like 100 times more easier just to undo those 3 bolts, jack the motor up a little bit, and just drop it in there. Then going through all the trouble of trying to pop that starter off, busting the nuts off on the, I forgot what the little thing's fucking called, the, what do you want to call it, the relay or whatever, for the little relay on the starter that has the little nub in there to pull it or whatever, or push it, whatever you want to call it. There's always that little, like, tiny nut. I think it's like a 6 or 8 or 10 millimeter little nut, and it just always twists out of that little thing. You can see it there for the ignition, and then they just always go to hell, even though I have an extra starter. But that is by far the easiest way to do that. 3 bolts and it pops in there and you're done. I have studs and stuff that I have to put in, so it's going to take me I'm lucky that I have a little bit of extra room. So, but hopefully everything fits well with those big ass tubes, and we'll see how that goes. But that's the simple way of doing it. 3 bolts, jack it up, drop it in, instead of trying to take the starter off, and you gotta take the pan off for the torque converter and all that, and that's a shit ton of work compared to 3 bolts that I took those out by hand with a little fucking 3/8 ratchet. They weren't even in there tight, so there's the 3 bolts. These, like I said, you could either use a 13 millimeter or a half, either or. It's just pretty close to the same. So, but yeah, that is that.